The story begins with a question most people never dare to ask out loud. How does someone with no famous family name, no elite degree, and no obvious superpower rise so quickly into the orbit of presidents, billionaires, royalty, and intelligence officials, only to fall even faster, leaving a trail of unanswered questions that still echo in the halls of power? Jeffrey Epstein's life reads like a blueprint for influence in the modern age, where money opens doors, but mystery keeps them locked from the outside. His name became synonymous with scandal long before the world learned the full extent of what was happening behind the closed doors of his mansions, islands, and private jets. But the real story, the one buried under rumors, speculation, and conspiracy theories, is about something even bigger. The mechanisms of power that allow one man to operate unchecked for decades, and how a carefully constructed image can mask a darkness that thrives in silence. Epstein did not start as a financial genius, despite the myth he cultivated. He was an ambitious kid from Coney Island, a gifted conversationalist who knew how to impress the right people. Former colleagues described him as charming in a way that felt rehearsed, like he'd studied the behavior of confidence until it became a second skin. That skill alone carried him far. Without a completed college degree, he talked himself into a teaching job at an elite private school. An early clue that Epstein's greatest talent wasn't mathematics. It was persuasion. It was at that school that he met influential families, one connection leading to another, unfolding like a domino chain that would eventually place him inside the most exclusive circles in America. Before long, he found himself working at a major financial firm. Even there, he became known not for traditional finance, but for his uncanny ability to network, gaining trust from people who controlled unimaginable wealth. This pattern became the foundation of his power. Epstein positioned himself as the man who knew everyone, the man who could open doors, the man who said little but listened closely. The more people wondered how he made his money, the less he clarified. An intentional fog that made him appear even more connected, even more essential, and even more untouchable. But behind that fog, something far darker was unfolding. In the early 2000s, whispers emerged. Whispers that led to complaints, then to allegations, and eventually to an active police investigation. What began as a local inquiry in Florida soon revealed a pattern of behavior that would lead to one of the most controversial legal deals in modern American history. Epstein was accused of exploiting minors, serious charges supported by multiple accounts from victims and law enforcement. Yet the outcome stunned observers. A plea deal that allowed him to avoid federal prosecution, spend most of his sentence outside of jail, and walk away still connected, still wealthy, still protected. For his accusers, it felt like justice had been negotiated in a back room where they had no seat at the table. For the public, it raised a chilling question. How powerful must a person be for consequences to bend around them? But Epstein's story did not end there. For nearly a decade after that plea deal, he remained active both socially and financially. Many former friends distanced themselves, yet Epstein still found ways to operate, still hosted guests, still traveled internationally, still cultivated influence. The shadows around him grew longer, darker, and more complicated. Then, something unexpected happened. A new wave of investigative journalism reignited the case. Survivors spoke publicly with details that demanded national attention. Federal authorities re-examined the old evidence and uncovered new information. In 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time on federal sex trafficking charges. The evidence was stronger, the public scrutiny louder, and the confidence that had shielded him for so long seemed to dissolve. What followed was a sequence of events so shocking, so abrupt, that it ignited global debate. Epstein was found dead in his jail cell, in circumstances officially ruled a suicide, but surrounded by inconsistencies that fueled widespread doubt. Cameras malfunctioned, guards fell asleep, and the trial that many hoped would expose the full extent of his network ended before it truly began. His death didn't close the story. It opened 1,000 more. People questioned who else might have been involved, what information vanished with him, and how many secrets were buried with a man who had built his empire on being indispensable to the powerful. What remains undisputed is that Epstein's actions harmed countless lives, and his victims continue to seek justice, healing, and recognition. The echoes of their voices cut through the fog he spent decades constructing. But there is another part of the story, one many prefer not to confront. Epstein exposed a truth about the modern world, that power often hides in plain sight, and that systems designed to protect society can sometimes be manipulated by those who understand them best. His life forces us to ask difficult questions. How many others operate in similar shadows? How many systems rely on secrecy to function? And how often does charm mask something far more sinister? The untold story of Jeffrey Epstein is not just about one man. It's about the world that allowed him to rise, the people who enabled him, the silence that surrounded him, and the survivors who refused to remain invisible. In the end, the real mystery is not how Epstein lived. It's how much of the truth is still waiting to be uncovered, hidden in conversations never recorded, meetings never documented, and relationships built on the quiet understanding that some things are never meant to see the light. Yet history has a way of resurfacing what others try to bury, and the shadows Epstein created continue to stretch far beyond his lifetime, casting long, unsettling silhouettes over the institutions we are told to trust. Because the story of Jeffrey Epstein is more than a crime, it's a warning, a reminder that the most dangerous power is the kind that operates unseen, and that sometimes the darkest secrets belong not to the forgotten, but to those who stand closest to the light. In the end, Jeffrey Epstein's story is not just a tale of crimes and corruption. It is a mirror held up to the world, reflecting the uncomfortable truth that power can hide monsters and wealth can silence warnings. But the survivors refused to be silent. Their courage forced the world to confront what it tried to ignore, and because of them, the shadows are finally being dragged into the light. As we close this chapter, remember, history is shaped not only by those who rise with power, but by those who stand against it. If the mysteries surrounding Epstein teach us anything, it's that truth has a rhythm of its own, slow, steady, inevitable. And one day, every unanswered question will demand an answer. Thank you for walking through the shadows with us. If you want to explore more hidden histories and untold stories that shaped our world, subscribe and stay with our channel. The past still has secrets, and we're here to uncover them, one story at a time.